Week 6 of the NFL, and a week of surprises, where Lamar Jackson is good at running. The Bengals are terrible, the Redskins are terrible, the Dolphins are terrible, and the Patriots and the 49ers aren't too bad.
Welcome again to the Snap UK NFL podcast. We don't have Chappers or Jason Bell. We can't even afford an OC. But with me, Johnny Thrash, I have the UK's foremost minds of NFL matter. Jimmy G, Gilo, 4th and Inches, and Griff. Thank you for joining for our roundup of all the Week 6 action. Note the Bears, Raiders, Colts, and Bill on their bye week.
It's been a long day. You're going to hear that a lot today.
And with that said, let's kick off the show with what may be the quarterback duel to look forward to over the next decade in Brady Manning fashion. It's Kermit Mahomes versus Deshaun Watson as Houston travel to Arrowhead and come out on top 31-24. 2 defeats in a row for Kansas, and this one was all about time of possession.
Yes, this was, I think the Chiefs had 20 minutes of possession, which was the shortest amount ever under an Andy Reid team. And there was a similar story every other time that they've had less than 25 minutes of possession.
It's the same as the week before as well, where the Colts dominated possession. So obviously the Chiefs might have been found out.
This is the plan.
Yeah, they might have to start looking at a different type of game plan.
This felt very much like Super Bowl 25.
Go on.
The Giants versus the Bills. This is where you had this amazing offense, they can't score if we have the ball, and we take ages to go down the field. It just made total sense. They can't score if they don't have the ball. I really enjoyed it.
On the flip side, the Chiefs made no attempt to keep possession themselves in terms of time on the clock as well. They only had 11 rushing attempts for 53 yards. And it's not like they haven't got players who are decent at rushing. So LaShawn McCoy is still got an average of 5.5 yards per carry, and Damian Williams is a decent player. So it's not like they've got the tools there to make a decent attempt at a rushing.
Damian Williams only had 1 carry.
Well, exactly.
Got a touchdown though.
Yeah.
What a carry!
They
Only because he was in one of my fantasy teams.
And they've also got Tyreek Hill back now as well. And yes, he's more of a pass threat, but you can still have him kind of running the jet sweep.
Yeah, which they've done successfully in the past. They certainly didn't help themselves, but in reference to the quarterback duel for the decade, Deshaun Watson, how far behind Mahomes is he in terms of his development, if at all?
So, I don't think at all. So, I've got a wanky stat to back up my plan here, right?
Yes, first of the night.
I wanted to get in early. I wanted to finish first. So,
gold medalist over here. Yep.
So Deshaun Watson now has 7,500 passing yards through 29 career games, and there's only one person in the history of football who's got there quicker.
Is it Pat Mahomes?
It's our podcast favourite, Kurt Schwarmer.
Okay, Kurt Schwarmer, yeah, okay.
So he's got to 7,500 in 29 games, the same as Mark Bolger, Dan Marino, Matt Stafford.
He can prove anything with facts.
But he's a lot better than people give him credit for. I just think the injuries haven't helped.
Yes, he's had 2 serious injuries in his career so far.
And no offensive line.
Until now. So should we be giving Bill O'Brien massive credit for the fact that he swung this trade and actually it seems to be working?
Well, yeah, he's not been sacked in the last 2 games, but those 2 games have been against the Falcons, who are woeful this year, and the Chiefs, who everyone thought their defense would take a step up. I don't think it really has. So
no, it hasn't.
Against the Panthers, which was the 3 weeks ago, he took a lot of sacks and they lost the game. So I think next week they're playing the Colts. The Colts have got a decent defense. Let's kind of reserve judgment until that happens on that.
Yeah, but Laramie Tunsil has certainly helped the other players on that line.
He's not going to hurt.
No. There's only been 7 games in his career where Deshaun Watson has been sacked once or no times, and he's won all 7 of them. So certainly when he's allowed time in the pocket, he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
You can say that about a lot of quarterbacks. If no one's getting pressure on them, pretty much any quarterback is going to, look at Fitzpatrick last year, went for the Buccaneers. When he had time to throw the ball, He was brilliant. We all know it.
We now know what wanky stat I'm going to have to find for next week. The winning percentages when you're not sacked.
But the Duke Johnson touchdown right at the start, he had so much time. It was just like watching a bloke down the park, just quite lazily throw it off to Johnson, who had tons of space as well. The defence was awful.
But this is another thing about what Bill O'Brien has done. So Duke Johnson and Carlos Hyde, who actually turned up this week as well and had a good game, are turning into a decent backfield. I don't think we can argue it for too much. Now the O-line's working more. They've got a run game which allowed them to keep time in possession. It was 26 carries for Carlos Hyde.
Yeah, let's just bear in mind that was the backfield that the Browns had this time last season.
Yeah,
yeah,
it really was. I just think I was quick to jump on Bill O'Brien, and I wasn't sure that he'd given up too much. And actually, if they think their Super Bowl window is sometime around now, even Kenny Stills has got a touchdown this season and a couple of 100 yards, and it's not been a terrible acquisition. So maybe he just deserves a little bit of credit here. I just wonder whether other teams should be looking at this and thinking, okay, if we're in our window, do we need to jump on the trades now and actually give our players exactly what they need to compete? Silence.
Well, I was just thinking, it was a good trade. They brought in a good player, but I still think they overpaid for him. 2 first-round picks was a heck of a lot for any player. And Larry Tunsil, yes, he's an important player. He could be a franchise left tackle, but he's not a franchise left tackle yet. So two first-round picks is still a massive, massive price.
When I was thinking about this earlier, and I didn't think about it for too long, but when I was thinking about it earlier, define overpaying, because I was thinking the Redskins...
2 first-round picks for Larry Tunsil.
What did the Redskins give up for RG3 in 2012?
3 first-round picks.
3 first-round picks.
Bit of dignity.
6 picks overall.
Yeah.
And I was only thinking about it because I thought somebody would say they've overpaid. Fine. Do you remember at the start of this year when Andrew Luck retired and people were saying, is he a bust? Well, I never heard anyone say, is RG3 a bust? And he didn't actually do anything compared to Andrew Luck. He didn't even play half the number of games. And Luck missed as much time injured. But RG3 was just on the bench for a whole year.
I think we can all agree that RG3 is a bust.
Is he, though?
Yes.
Because he made the Redskins relevant for a while.
All he did was bust his leg over and
Yeah.
over again.
First year he took them to the playoffs, was Offensive Rookie of the Year.
That's what I mean. So
but that's it.
But that's not his fault if you get injured. I think that's different.
It is his fault if he doesn't learn how to slide.
It was his fault that he got injured. That was the whole point.
Oh, but he didn't force himself to keep playing after he was injured. They kept
But
playing.
he forced himself to keep getting hit.
And to not slide.
I'm not sure which side you're on. You dived in on my side and then jumped in on my back.
Well, if I just thought I'd join the peer pressure.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Smoke this cigarette now.
I figured if the Texans get to, say, the AFC
Give him a
Championship game and Deshaun Watson is able to be upright in the pocket and passing the ball, then this trade looks brilliant. And if they fail to make the playoffs, it looks like a complete cock-up. So where in the middle would you measure success?
I don't think you can measure it across one season, though. It's going to be the next, for a tackle, maybe 5-10 years. If he spends 10 years with the Texans and is a solid left tackle, then it's probably those 2 first-round picks will look pretty cheap.
We are not going to be here doing this podcast, are we, in 10 years?
The way tonight's going.
I strongly suspect I won't be here. Not sure about the rest of you. You're all on a health kick now, are you? You've got your own inhalers, Gino?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. John, you're always on a health kick, correct?
No.
Oh. Paul?
I did 10k on an exercise bike on Saturday.
Yeah, you get stuck on it.
No,
You voluntarily did 10k.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah, I'm
And Jim, in 10 years, he may have done that full marathon. So, health kicks all round.
But back to the game.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about games before I sidetracked.
Does anyone think Mahomes is more injured than he's possibly letting on?
Well,
because we talked about this
so
on Sunday.
I think that is one of the issues.
He's been hit both weeks, last week and this week.
He's got an ankle injury, quite clearly. I think they want him off the field as quick as possible. And I think that's causing some bad decision making. And I think the other thing you've got to remember is the defence is going to look pretty poor if it spends 40 minutes on the field.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
That's
I think
fair.
you've got to put both of those things into context. So I think you saw an injured
Context.
Mahomes versus a very good Deshaun Watson this week. I think Mahomes is still definitely the more talented player, and I think anybody that says otherwise is
Wrong.
mad.
I think the bad news for the Chiefs is that their bye is not coming up until quite late.
Week
So
10,
yeah,
11?
it's one of the later buys. So if they were getting a bye week this week, for instance, they'd be very happy with that and to give Mahomes 2 weeks to sort that ankle out. But he's going to have to keep going.
What do you think about Frank Clark, who they acquired to replace
Great Tash.
Ford?
Great Tash.
Yes, former Nottingham Forest manager Frank Clark had a great dash. But what about this Frank Clark, who couldn't look anything less
Every time
like...
I bring up Frank Clark, I go back to Nottingham Forest.
That's 105 million.
Everyone looks shocked every time.
105 million for 12 tackles and 1 sack.
It's not a lot, is it?
It
That's a lot of money. Yes, I don't know where to go with that.
comes back to did they
What would you
overpay
pay
for him?
yours?
It comes back to
Not much
did they
now.
overpay?
Yeah.
Did they overpay for Frank Clark? Because they had to trade to get him as well.
Yeah,
It was only a
that's true.
second round, wasn't it?
But didn't they replace D Ford, who basically got kicked out for lining up offsides in last year's AFC Championship game?
Yeah, I mean that was a mistake because he's looked amazing.
He's
on
looked much
Sunday.
better than Frank Clark. I just wondered, and do we think the Texans miss Jadeveon Clowney? Bearing in mind JJ Watt's having his best season for quarterback hits for some time.
No, I don't think so. I don't think they're really missing him that much.
I don't think they're missing him at all.
And I don't think they could afford to keep everybody. And I think they had to make a decision. And
Yeah, and they've got to pay Watson as well in the
Yeah.
next couple of years. So, well, even
Someone had
some
to
this
go.
year. So, that was one step too far. They've got a good pass rusher in JJ Watt, who's proved that he's being able to maintain his fitness now. Clowney was just expendable. He was good, but
They still have Whit the Merciless.
they do.
Yeah, yes, they do.
and he's playing very well this year as well.
Yes, he is.
Well, should we move on to... that result is great news for the Raiders, who are now just one game back in AFC West and will be fresh off their bye next week at Green Bay. As for the rest of the West, Denver, in their first shutout in 2 years, beat the Tetons 16-0 and gave us cause to discuss the demise of Mariota, who was benched in the second half and replaced by Tannehill. Mariota was ineffective again. Should Vrabel give Tannehill the reins for a few weeks to see what happens? I'm going to go early and say no.
So I'm going to just shut down Griff before he gets into it, saying that he said this before. So he didn't. We know that, right?
I said this in the preseason that somewhere between week 6 and week 10, Ryan Tannehill would be in for a series of games, and they haven't named someone yet, but it's due any time now that they're going to name the start for this week, and I won't be remotely surprised if it's Tannehill. And if it is Mariota, I think he's on a game-by-game basis now, because basically they've got to pay him, right? At some point, they've got to pay him, and you need to know what else you've got. Only one of these two quarterbacks is on the roster next year. Tannehill could be there as a high-end backup, or you've got Mariota, who you've committed to as your starter. That's it. You need to know what Tannehill can do. I have come on for the last 2 or 3 years we've been doing this, and I've said, wait, Mariota's going to be really good. He's going to be really good. He's going to be really good. No, this is what he's going to be. He's going to be massively inconsistent, talented but unfulfilled. And I'm chucking in the towel and saying it's time to see what Tannehill can give you, because the defense on this team is good enough to win now. The offense needs a spark because it's got brilliant skill players, and if a team shuts down Derrick Henry, they've got no hope of winning.
I mean, the thing that helps Mariota is he's always going to be in comparison to James Winston, and Winston sucked the biggest dick of the week.
I love we've limited the bad language on the podcast until Jameis comes out. Excellent stuff.
No, but he's always going to be in comparison against him, and James has had probably the worst week he's had in...
No, he hasn't. I've got a nice stat on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not quite, but it's up there.
He's had a memorable week.
He's definitely had a memorable week.
If you were asked to choose between Winston and Mariota, I think most sensible people would take Mariota, because he had two interceptions in this game. They were his first 2 interceptions of the season. He's not been throwing the ball away. It's just he can't move a team down the field with any consistency.
When he first came out of college, he was an exciting runner as well. He was, I guess, akin to what Deshaun Watson is now. We're expecting him to do much more with his legs, but still have that passing ability. He doesn't seem to do anything on the ground now at all. And I don't know whether that's the scheme that he's being asked to play in, but he's not a pocket passer. He was a scrambling quarterback.
Is it 3 or 4 offensive coordinators in his 5 years? I think it's 3, but there's
It's
not
a
been
lot.
of
There's no
consistency there.
consistency there, no.
So it's not entirely on his shoulders. And you're right, he was a make the play quarterback, not just run what you give him, but make it. But it's not working for him, and
Definitely
maybe
not.
a change of scenery is actually what he needs, a different coach to get something out of him. But I just think you've got to see what Tannehill can do. He's not exactly going to set the world on fire, but if he came in and moved the team far more effectively down the field, picked up a lot more yards more quickly than Mariota had done in the rest of the game. So why not stick with that? Because the Titans, there's no Andrew Luck to compete against this season. The Texans aren't out of sight. The Jags are on their second quarterback of the season already. The division's there. There is opportunities for the playoffs, and you've got to see what you can get.
They did come up against a very good Denver defense.
Yeah, so I couldn't believe it was their first shutout for, I think it's over 2 years. It was week 3 or 4, 2017.
Shutouts
you don't
aren't
get that
common.
many shutouts.
No, but
these
this
days.
defence was so vaunted that I assumed they'd had one last year at some point.
Not in this modern NFL. You
No.
know, not with the amount of pass interference calls and stuff. Teams can go a long way down the field with one play now. Very rare you get shut out.
It's not like they're playing like the Bortles Jags and stuff, those rubbish teams, and those rubbish quarterbacks.
No, not every week. But
I think this is it for me. It's one of those things where, Mariota wasn't very good. Mariota is kind of struggling with...
Well, he wasn't helped by his O-line either, though. I mean, that O-line was terrible for Tannehill as well. Tannehill took 4 sacks and Mariota 3.
3, yeah.
The Denver defense got 7 sacks on the night. Coming into this match, they'd had 5 all season. So, there's a lot of... I think you have to put a lot on that offensive line as well. And that's also the reason why, Derrick Henry isn't getting many yards. 15 carries to 28 yards. That's terrible. You can put it on. You can put a lot of the emphasis on the Denver defense, which seems to have finally clicked. But that's just a woeful offensive performance by pretty much the whole team.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm still not seeing anything that gives Adam Humphries any value. He had 47 yards in this game. He was supposed to be their big offensive acquisition.
He was wanted by the Patriots, wasn't he? He chose the Titans over the Patriots.
Of course he was wanted by the Patriots.
How many
He's
of
a
us...
white slot receiver.
How many of us around the table have got Titans players in our fantasy teams?
You've got Delaney Walker.
I've got Delaney Walker, which
I've
is
got
fair.
Derrick Henry.
Anybody else got anyone other than those 2 players?
I got Corey Davis in the draft, but got rid of him before week 1.
Yeah.
No.
You just wouldn't, would you?
No, there's no one there.
They're not going to score more than 15 points a game.
If Walker doesn't get a
If
touchdown,
that.
he's useless.
Yeah.
He is Mariota's favourite target in the red zone, so I felt justified. I take him every year, and he generally pays off. So
Yeah, but a tight end is, a rookie quarterback's favourite target all the time. And
Yeah.
it seems like Mariota's not progressed from being able to throw to his tight end all the time to proper receivers. I think there is a bit of skill there. A.J. Brown, a rookie wide receiver, has looked good in some games. Corey Davis had a couple of good touchdowns a couple of years back, but they haven't got the quarterback to find him. I don't think Mariota trusts himself to throw him, and that's why he's not throwing any interceptions this year, because, like Kirk Cousins, he's not taking any risks up until recently, obviously.
word on Denver and whether or not they were so unlucky to start the season that actually they're still in the hunt in this division. I genuinely think if the defence is up to speed and Joe Flacco just doesn't throw too many interceptions, they've got a chance. They're 1 game back from the Raiders, 2 game back from the Chiefs.
They've got no chance.
Can't see, I'm
Joe,
sorry.
Joe Flacco isn't the worst, but he's not the best. He's serviceable. He's a serviceable quarterback in this league.
And they've got a decent running game. So
This is why the
But
Chiefs
still
are
no.
okay, even
Yeah.
if they're managing injuries because of that.
He's
division
completing.
you just said. It's it's not great this year, is it? The Broncos, you could argue they're a bit unlucky, but I'm sure a couple of weeks ago you were saying Flacco's terrible. The Chargers, Rivers has just dropped off a cliff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they've
the
got-
river's dried up.
He is done.
Manning-esque downfall.
Absolutely
Yeah.
done.
So
The Chiefs, they've been shut out a couple of times by a couple of decent defences and decent teams, and the Raiders have played a bit of dross here and there and picked up a couple of wins. Namely one because the Bears didn't turn up in London till about 4 hours before the game.
yeah, it's certainly it's not ideal. I think we'd have been there earlier than that when we go and watch the games, wouldn't we? Joe Flacco is actually above his career completion percentage. He's completing 66.3 over 61, which he usually does.
But there's good receivers there. Cortland Sutton, Deshaun Hamilton, Emmanuel Sanders should be catching passes.
Oh yeah, Emmanuel Sanders is not getting used enough.
No,
Nowhere near
he's
enough.
not fit,
Yeah, I
apparently.
was going to say, isn't
And,
he injured?
and you've got a first-round tight end there. Noah
Yeah.
Fant.
Yeah, he's
Who's
not
done
been
very
effective.
little.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not been effective yet. But it takes time to become effective. We should discuss the outcome of the Chargers game. So Philip Rivers' first 2 attempts of the day, I think, were interceptions, weren't they? One of them was technically a fumble returned for a touchdown. 'Cause he
And
threw
my
it backwards.
face doesn't look surprised.
No, his does though. Every time he walks off the field, looking up at the sky. The backwards
Maybe you
pass.
should listen to me.
It's because he's thinking, what will my kids say?
They're all of them. What are they all going to
There'd be
say?
this deafening noise.
Just crowd noise.
The backwards pass that was supposed to go to Melvin Gordon, that just
It
flopped
was
onto the
ridiculous.
floor. It was just. I
It's
have never seen anything like
Inaccurate,
it.
and it shouldn't have been backwards in the first place. My massive problem with this is that Melvin Gordon's come back and they've gone off. They've completely gone off the boil.
Yep.
They were winning when they were working Austin Eckler into the game, and suddenly, because Gordon's back, because he's stopped having a hissy fit, suddenly he's getting more carries than Gordon. Sorry, Gordon's getting more carries than Eckler, and they're losing games. At some point, they've got to go, hang on a second, there's a correlation here. Gordon's playing, we've started losing. Eckler played, and we were doing all right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they seem so intent on just throwing Melvin Gordon back in.
The only thing I can think of is they're trying to get him in the shop window to trade him.
Maybe.
This
And
is not helping.
This is not helping at
Well,
all.
last year Melvin Gordon had a career season, didn't
Yeah,
he?
it was great last year.
So, they probably thought, well, let's get him rolling again. You can't expect, these running backs to, you've got to play them, haven't you? You can't just go, oh, we need you in 5 games' time, so we'll play you then. You've got to give them the ball. You've got to get them match fit.
Yeah, but they're not, though. He only had 8 carries. That's 3 more than Austin Eckler.
Yeah, but that's because they're chasing the game, isn't it?
Yeah, but
If you're behind, you throw the ball way more than you run the ball, don't
Yeah,
you?
but if you're chasing the game from the first quarter, you've
That's
still got
just
loads of
because
time on the
You
clock.
insist on playing Philip Rivers.
I don't insist on playing.
So since Gordon's come back, they've averaged 33.5 rushing yards per game.
Oh, that's awful.
yeah, that's not good, is it? I mean,
And that
I mean, I'm
that
happy
that
because-
was against the Steelers team that was averaging 100 yards rushing
Yeah.
against them.
I mean, I'm happy because Steve
Chase has
has
got Eckler.
Eckler.
a couple of things about Devlin Hodges. He's now won as many games in this region of the country as Ben Roethlisberger as a Steeler. 1. And between Mason Rudolph and Devlin Hodges, they have as many wins this season as Baker Mayfield. So it's going well in the Steelers town. They're keeping up in the division by just getting on the roll. Now they're 2-4. They're in the same place as the Browns. All right. At some point, the wheels are going to come off because you can't run it every week. But they don't look as they're not getting stomped into the floor. And really, they were there for the taking. The Chargers.
Well,
got
Connors
win
had
this.
a good game, didn't he?
Yeah, for a change.
For the first time.
But
in a
it was
while.
obvious what the game plan was going to be. They were never going to throw the ball with Devlin Hodges.
No, I think he was asked to throw it past the 10-yard mark maybe 4 times. One of those was an interception, the other 3 were incomplete. 7 receptions to James Conner says it all. Like, they're asking him to throw it very short, get it to the guy who can make something happen, and that worked. Benny Snell, 17 carries, 75
great
yards.
name, by the
Benny
way.
Snell Jr.
Benny Snell Jr.
But I mean, they've got a very experienced coach there who they've put a scheme together, knowing that they're going into an away game. I say away game, the crowd is pretty much all Steelers. With the third roster quarterback who's never played a game in the NFL and no one's really ever heard of until suddenly Roethlisberger was injured and people were wondering who the new backup is, and they've come away with a win.
I mean, he's joined some esteemed company. He's the 5th undrafted rookie QB to win their first start.
Go on.
He's joined esteemed companies such as Matt Moore,
Wonderful. I love Matt Moore. Yeah, go on.
Griff loves Matt
I
Moore.
do love Matt Moore.
Matt McGloin.
Oh. Okay. Did he win at the Raiders in his debut?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Kyle Allen.
Okay. Well, didn't you? I thought there was another one. You say 4.
Max Hall was another one.
Max Hall.
Max Wall.
Max Hall.
Yeah.
Was he Arizona Cardinals?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, Hodges he played for Samford, not Stanford. He played for Samford in college, and he threw like 30 touchdowns a season. But he was also throwing 20-odd picks a season. He's not an accurate passer. This is a guy just in college would just throw the ball up and hope for the best. So they're clearly going to restrict him.
Jameis has done that for 5 years now.
Made a career out of it.
Johnny Manziel got drafted 24th overall doing that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just impressed that the Steelers are managing to stay relevant.
It's largely
They've played the Bengals, and they've come across charges without any form.
Yeah.
They've been lucky, but I guess, if they can carry on being lucky, they'll do their usual and go out in the first round of the playoffs.
In the 6 games, they've scored 3 more points than Cleveland and conceded 23 fewer. They're only second by the fact that the Browns beat them. Third, by the fact the Browns beat them. They're outplaying at the moment. They're outplaying Cleveland just in terms of the product they're putting on the field.
So are 28 other teams.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I at the end of this today, we're going to do our 6 teams who are definitely out of the playoff picture. And I don't think the Chargers are quite in that category, but they are not far off because this team is horrendous.
Almost put the Chargers in there.
Yeah,
I wanted to put the Chargers in there.
It's bad.
I might now put the Chargers in there. And just...
We've often had the debate on this show because some people are wrong and they think Frank Gore won't go into the Hall of Fame. I always hear that Philip Rivers is going to go into the Hall of Fame.
And he should not.
And I can't tell you why he is. I don't get it with Philip Rivers.
Sexual prowess. He's got 7 proofs.
No, I really liked Philip Rivers and I like his career. Gary is now correct. He is just a liability more than he's not. And I can't tell you what he's done that's Hall of Fame worthy.
Been part of the Manning trade.
He's been around a long time.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can think of, which is why he's been around a long time.
I mean, isn't that why Frank Gore would get in? Longevity.
Alex Smith's been around a long time.
As a running back, no?
Yeah.
Alex Smith.
Rivers
Smith will never go in the Hall of Fame.
I'm not defending Rivers because I don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame. The argument is that he's been around a long time. He has put up a lot of yards.
So is Alex Smith.
Not as many as
Bit
Rivers.
by bit.
But you look at Rivers compared to that class of 2004, he's a way back.
He is way. Yeah, he is.
I don't think he should be in. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying this is why people
are
talking about him.
The thing that's annoying and confusing is that Eli will go into the Hall of Fame as a 2-time Super Bowl winner, and Philip Rivers is a much better quarterback than Eli Manning. It's just
Count the
it
rings.
just is.
But that
Count the
hasn't.
rings.
Yeah, but is that true? Because
Yes.
no, it's not. It's not because Philip Rivers has shown that he's not a better quarterback when it matters.
Yeah,
It's true.
To be fair to Eli, he is properly clutch when he was in his form.
So does it matter?
Who sent the meme this week that was him?
That was me.
Right now, that meme summed it up completely.
Yeah, but
was
that's
just,
it. Well, you don't
It's
go
just
into
luck.
Hall of Fame based on your final 3 years. You go into Hall
know,
of Fame based on your career.
So
and
Philip Rivers is potentially going to the Hall of Fame because he keeps beating the Raiders in the middle of the season. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I'm not. I'm just saying that people.
Hang on, we're all in agreement that he's not going to the Hall
So
of
he's
Fame.
going in the Hall of Fame for stinking in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking is, so you can. I don't think it's fair to say that Rivers is a better quarterback than Eli Manning because I can't see any stats that prove that.
Eli's
You might be
got
able
more-
to show me some stats around yards.
Eli's got more yards.
All right, okay, touchdowns.
I haven't got them in front
I
of me.
bet Rivers has probably got more touchdowns.
I don't know.
do you penetrate the Hall of Fame? Because that's the only thing I know he's good at.
Well, I suppose technically.
Can you impregnate the Hall of Fame? Because that's oh yeah.
This is a strange road we're going down.
So what did you want? Touchdowns.
Yeah,
Eli 362, Philip Rivers 383.
right.
Not enough.
Rivers interceptions 184, Eli 241. I mean,
but
considering Philip Rivers throws a lot of interceptions,
It's just
that's
like
bad.
that classic one, isn't it? About the what stat matters the most. It's the one that says 2 Super Bowls to Eli. And
Yeah,
but the thing is,
Philip
Yeah,
Rivers.
absolutely.
Eli's thrown 140 of those in the last 2 years.
Yeah, there is that. And the passer rating, Philip Rivers 95.5 and Eli 84.1. I think if Eli had retired 3 or 4 years earlier, his stats would be a lot better. And now that might be becoming the same of Philip Rivers. He may have had a slightly longer window of being good, and now he's falling down quite
Be
rapidly.
interesting if he sees it within himself or whether he'll try and just keep going.
He'll keep going.
Yeah, I
Nice to
think
see Hunter Henry back as well.
Yes, yes,
that's
and
a
actually
quick
plays
change of
really well.
subject.
Well, John's looking for a positive.
Well, I am. Yeah. Plus, we there's the point where we discuss how shit Rivers is every week.
But we're all so passionate about it.
I know, but yeah, no. I just
I
thought
managed to get everybody on my bandwagon.
it's true. But yeah, Hunter Henry 2 touchdowns, despite
What,
cacophony of injuries.
what do you think Philip Rivers' best NFL accolade might be?
His van.
It's NFL Comeback Player of the Year 2013 is his highest award. That's not. I mean, he's had 8 Pro Bowls, but I don't really count them because.
Well, is that coming back from paternity leave?
It may well be. And he's been the passing touchdown and passer rating leader in 2008, but there's nothing there. I don't know. I don't know. I like Philip Rivers. I like his career, but
He's massively overrated. I don't know why.
In 2008, he got those accolades because everybody was expecting Tomlinson to run anyway.
Who? LaDainian Tomlinson. Oh, right, I see. So because of that, you think that Philip Rivers just gets all these awards?
He stinks.
Oh, at least we know what you think about it.
That banging tune is breaking news. We're just hearing that Marcus Peters has been traded to the Ravens for a 5th round pick and linebacker Kenny Young. Of course, we're all big Kenny Young fans here.
Massive Kenny Young fan. Can't get enough Kenny Young, if I'm honest.
So we were talking about trades where you overpay. Is that a trade where perhaps the Ravens have underpaid?
I think it appears to be. I suppose it depends what they get out of Marcus Peters. But interesting because Aqib Talib of the Rams has gone on IR today with a rib injury, so he's out for a minimum of 6 weeks, possibly the season. So are they basically giving up on those cornerbacks and saying we've got to bring in different talent because it's not working?
Kenny Young is a linebacker who has 2.5 sacks.
Lucky him. I mean,
That's literally all I know now about.
I was gonna say,
Other than that, he used to play for the Ravens and now plays for the Rams.
I've heard of young Kenny, but he was some sort of
In
comedy
South Park,
character. Yeah. So I'm not sure that. But okay. I mean, we'll see what the Ravens.
Rams are just falling apart, aren't they?
Well, should we talk about Marcus Peters' former team, the LA Rams? They lost to the 49ers 20-7.
The undefeated 49ers.
The undefeated San Francisco 49ers. Their best start to a season since 1990. And for the Rams, it was a third defeat on the bounce. The Rams' defense has given up 105 points in those defeats. And Aqib Talib is now on IR, I believe. So are the Rams suffering the Super Bowl blues? And are they destined to miss the playoffs?
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be really tough for them to get to play on.
The 49ers Seahawks are playing really, really good football. And
Yeah.
the Rams are simply not competitive.
Well, the 49ers are 5-0. They've got the Redskins next up, so we can make that presumption that they'll possibly go 6-0. And the Seahawks are 5-1. You know, the Rams back on 3-3. That's a lot of games to make up now. It's coming. We're coming up to the halfway through the season, and that's going to be tough for them if they carry on that form. Now they've got no backfield, so they're even more susceptible.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of the Rams. I'm surprised by the undoing of the backfield, but it's not working for them, so maybe they've just decided this is the best way forward. But it's not just that's the problem. The offense has gone completely tepid.
It's not gone terrible. I mean, coming into the match, the Rams were averaging 421 yards per game on offense, which is pretty decent. The 49ers held them to 157.
Yeah, the 49ers' defence is very real.
It's really good.
And it's difficult to judge a team that just played an undefeated team and lost. But they were 3-0 and they were only convincing in one of those 3 victories. Mm-hmm. And then they've lost 3 on the bounce and not looked good in any of them. They gave up 55 points to Jameis Winston and the Bucs.
Yeah, so why then send one of your better cornerbacks out of the building?
Marcus Peters got torched in that game. He was not good.
But who have they got?
Yeah, but he got torched by Mike Evans, and there's no shame in that.
Yeah, that's very true. Obviously, you have to judge it by who you're playing against, but then they're not playing well as a team, and I think the Super Bowl blues have set in. People have seen how to play against McVay. The Patriots and to some extent, who did they play in the championship game, in the NFC championship game?
The Saints.
The Saints showed the blueprint.
They lost to the Saints and still got to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But they showed the blueprint for playing against the Rams, and teams have been following it ever since. Jared Goff does not look like the same quarterback that we saw up to week 12, week 13 last year.
It's all about Gurley. Gurley was so good.
It's not about Gurley anymore.
Yeah, but it was.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It was. He was so good. You know, he was involved in so much of the game. The amount of, percentage of the snaps that he was involved with, the amount of percentage of the yards he was involved with was huge. And then for him to just be doing literally nothing since the playoffs last year, It's amazing they got to the Super Bowl.
That running game has been the main reason why Goff is now under so much pressure because they were if you're having to defend a player like Gurley, you need to stack the box, and it gives Goff and some good wide receivers much more room for him to be able to throw to, and he gets to use the play action. Now they haven't got that option. People know they're not going to run it, and if they run it, they haven't got Todd Gurley running the ball. It's Malcolm Brown or whatever the other guy's name, Daryl Henderson, I think it was, something like that. But either way, it's an easier team to defend against.
And that's a tough division. It is now a very tough
It really is now.
With the 49ers being competitive,
with the 49ers being good.
I said competitive.
Yeah, I said good.
And the Cardinals are better than last year as well.
You're
So that's
5-0 with a quarterback who's 13-2 in 15 starts.
Niners defense, number 1 in passing yards per game, number 1 in rushing touchdowns. Number 2 in yards per game, number 2 in pass rating, number 2 in first downs per game, number 2 in points per game, and number 6 in rushing yards per game. And here's another wanky stack for you, Paul. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Odell Beckham, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and Brandon Cooks combined against the 49ers defense, 14 catches, 143 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. This is a legit team. The 49ers have done well. I will say about the Rams running back situation, Cortrell Javon Anderson, or CJ Anderson, is still sitting at home doing nothing, and they should be getting him back in because he was effective for them.
Definitely.
I don't know why he's not on the team.
Thunderborn J.J. reckons he's fit.
Why don't you're not giving that man there his full name?
What, with the Super Bowls? And
1,000-yard rusher, Super Bowl winning, Super Bowl playing, CJ Anderson.
Can we refer to him as Cortrell Javon Anderson, please?
1,000-yard rusher, double Super Bowl playing Cortrell Javon Anderson.
That's him. He should be on the team. The Rams need to do something. They've got to shake it up. Now, the Niners, you were just mentioning Jimmy Garoppolo being 13-2 in his career. Is he that good, or has he just been not the victim of circumstance, but he's along for the ride? I don't think he looks that good.
No.
He throws a lot of bad passes.
The interception was really poor.
Really poor. And if they'd have lost this game, what we'd be saying is, what was that? But we're not, because they're winning, and I get it. And he's doing enough to not throw the games away. But is he a 13-2 quarterback?
But this is for me, the coaching is the difference in San Francisco as well.
Absolutely spot on.
You had your 2 starting offensive tackles not there.
Yeah, and the fullback is also really important in the blocking game. So they played a game where they just had to get the ball out of Garoppolo's hands pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it does help when you have probably the best tight end in the league.
It does, yes.
Yeah, I mean, so with Kyle Shanahan, he's been there. What's this? His 3rd season.
This is his 3rd, yeah.
Right, and let's be fair, it didn't go well the first 2 seasons.
No,
but will this tell teams like the Bengals with Zach Taylor that you've got to be patient and you've got to give people
What did they go?
time?
6-10 and 4-12.
Yeah. I think coming into that first season, that roster had been completely depleted. Like, we'd lost a lot of players.
And injuries.
And a lot of injuries. We didn't have a so-called franchise quarterback. Remember, we started that season with Brian Hoyer as our starting quarterback.
Yes, you did.
I will never forget.
Yeah, we traded for Garoppolo
Super
halfway
Bowl
through the
winning
season.
Brian Hoyer.
Yeah.
Super Bowl attending.
Oh, sorry.
He has a ring. Philip Rivers doesn't.
True.
Let's put him in the Hall of Fame then.
So does David Carr. David Carr has a ring as well.
Apparently, Brian Hoyer was the reason the Patriots beat the Rams in that Super Bowl.
Apparently, I would love to see that
That and
inauguration.
the New England defense. Last year they were 4-12. Yeah, it was bad, but we're in most games, and we lost Garoppolo in the second game of the season.
Yeah,
and that is something to remember. You know, he may not look great now. He is coming off an ACL injury,
and it may take all of this year because it just doesn't look ready
look at Wentz. You know, he's come back from a similar injury before. He's still not back to where he was.
Yeah,
but the injury, it takes a while. It's a horrible injury.
I feel like I may have misconstrued what I was saying. I just think there's not many weak links in this Niners team, and Garoppolo might be at that end of the scale where he's one of the weaker players.
I don't think he's a weak link, but he's not. He's certainly not like a superstar quarterback. He just gets the job done.
Yeah,
on the whole,
I think this season shows that sometimes just having a quarterback who gets the job done is the right thing for you. Look at Carl Allen. He's no superstar.
An amazing defense.
Yeah,
he's not a Mahomes. The issue is still going to be if we've got to go up against a team that manages to score big points against us. If we had to score 35 points to win a game, That's the concern, and there will be games where we have to do that. And that,
But will there against this defence?
yeah, because they'll have off days. It will still happen.
They might have one or two, but if you end up the season with 14-2 record, that'd be pretty good.
And it won't happen.
Well, the running isn't too bad. Like, okay, we got the Redskins next week. Yeah, that should be a win. Then we got the Panthers, Cardinals, Seahawks, Cardinals. Then it gets tough though. So, then you got the Packers, Ravens, and Saints. And then we're finishing with the Falcons, Rams, and Seahawks. So there's 3 games in
But
there.
if you
which I
split
think are
those
challenging.
games, you're still 10-6 or 11-5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
didn't I
really
work it out
impressive.
to be a 10-6 season
I think
last
you said,
week?
at the top, that's what it would be. So,
But I bet you didn't have them at 6-0, did you?
Well, no, but happy days.
So what
This
do
is
we
me
do?
happy.
What do you do if you're Sean McVay and the shine has finally worn off and no one's trying to get the other people out of your coaching tree? How do you change this around? Because, all right, we've said they need to establish some sort of running game and do something with Todd Gurley, but why is he not adjusting? What is it about him that is now incapable? Because when he came in, it was all like, Sean McVay's wonderful. He's tailored his plans to this. He can do that. The team's scoring 45 points a game. What is it that he's now not doing?
Winning.
Yeah.
Running.
Okay, so why is he not able to see what we think we can see?
I do think we sometimes overlook confidence in any sporting game, because if the Niners had gone 0-2, I think you could be looking at us being 2-4 right now. And confidence is so big in sport; it's just absolutely huge. And you can see bad teams that start winning games keep winning games, don't they? So I think, sometimes we forget about things like that. It may well just be a bit of confidence they need to, but that's just such a tough division. Like, how many easy games are you going to get in the NFC West now? Like, not that many. It's just going to be really difficult. And that's, last year they could just ride on that all the way through the season, but I don't know what their run's like for the next few games, but ideally they just need 2 or 3 games. I think that they can win in a row. I think if that team wins 3 games in a row, then they look like a different team, would be my suggestion.
Which is the Rams.
Yeah.
They have the Falcons.
So they'll win.
Then we're watching them play the Bengals, bye, and then it's Steelers.
So there's 2 wins there.
3.
Yeah, it's
Potentially
3.
And then you, what are you, 6-3?
Yeah. Right back in it.
Coming against the Bears.
Well, depending on what happens with the 49ers and the Seahawks, of course, but they're potentially back in it. They've got to get that run game sorted out. That's because
I think this will be a tight division all the way through.
But it will be.
It's just with the schedule, it will just go up and down for each team.
The Rams didn't complete a single 3rd down or 4th down play. Like didn't convert a 3rd or 4th down.
In the 3rd quarter, they were minus 29 yards.
Yeah, like no matter how good the 49ers defense is, Sean McVay is a supposed offensive genius. He's played against good defenses before. He should be able to scheme his way out there. He's not making the changes in the game to be able to adjust the team to play, a very aggressive, very fast defense.
Yeah, is anyone at this table prepared to say that they might lose to the Falcons? Anyone prepared to say that?
I might, because the Falcons are at least scoring now.
And Matt Ryan, he looks really good.
Yeah, Matt Ryan is playing well, to be fair.
And now they've got no cornerbacks on the Rams.
How many interceptions?
He's scoring
7.
loads of touchdowns, though.
He's making a lot. He's not.
Hear me out. All I'm saying is they've now got their number 1 cornerback traded and their number 2 cornerback on IR, and Matt Ryan's going to pick that apart.
Matt Ryan is 2nd in the league for yards.
So I'm prepared.
And this team's won 1 game.
Yeah, they've won 1 game, but it's not on him. But I'm prepared to sit here and say if the Rams can't get their offense going, that the Falcons' offense might outscore what the Rams can do.
I think the Rams win that game.
I think it could be a shootout.
But yeah,
I'll take the Falcons.
I'm going to take the
Falcons at home.
Plus, one, the Falcons' offense is much more balanced as well. Devontae Freeman has turned up.
Yeah, he's started to play. So, yeah, okay, it's just an interesting thought. I just wondered if anyone at the table would be prepared to take that. So.
No. Yeah, well, should we move on to...
John's always prepared to take it.
The rest of the NFC West.
Yeah, so wins there for both Seattle and Arizona, who beat Cleveland and Atlanta respectively. So starting with the Seahawks-Browns matchup, what did you make of this game?
What I made of this game was that the Browns are a decent team with terrible, terrible coaching, which is what we said was going to cost them all along. And Freddie Kitchens absolutely butchered a call in the second half where he chose to review. He threw a challenge flag and reviewed
as they were scoring a touchdown.
As they were scoring a touchdown, which they then had called back, and they tried the same play again after the failed challenge, and this time the Seahawks saw it coming, and so they didn't get in. I just
they did get in a couple of plays later though, didn't they?
Eventually, but it just shows you how poor he is at running a franchise. It's 2 or 3 years too early for Freddie Kitchens to be given all these weapons and all these toys. We were saying before the show, the Browns were better off in terms of results this time last year when they were 2-3-1. And I know the schedule gets easier for the Browns in the second half of the season.
Yeah, but they still got to play the Patriots.
Well, Mayfield is leading the league in interceptions, or maybe second now behind Winston, but he's thrown 11 interceptions this season already. His one good thing when he came out of college was accuracy. And he's off his spot all the time. We know the O-line is bad. But if he can't be accurate and he can't look after the ball, it doesn't matter how many yards Nick Chubb gets, and it doesn't matter how many times they force field to Odell Beckham. Will win games.
56 points.
Just off his spot, or because he's trying too hard, or what is it? Because
I don't know what it is, but he's
it's not good.
The offensive line doesn't help. It's terrible. He got absolutely destroyed by the 49ers to the extent that he was taken out of the game in the fourth quarter because they didn't want him to get hurt. So there needs to be improvements made there. But you're right, there needs to be improvements made to the scheme as well. They've got fantastic receivers. Even Ricky Seals-Jones has been a decent tight end in the place of Cam Juco. But I think they're asking Mayfield to do too much, and he's not experienced enough to do that at the moment. You know, give him a few short yards, give him some slant patterns, give him some curl routes that he can easily pick out Odell Beckham or Jarvis Landry. They'll get yards after the catch. They'll make things happen. But you can't ask him to throw it long all the time because he's just going to keep throwing interceptions or get hit and sacked.
Yeah, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions against the Seahawks. And on the other side, you've got Russell Wilson, who I said last week is an MVP candidate.
He is now. He's ahead of Mahomes after the last 2 games.
He's just playing so well. Chris Carson seems to have resolved the fumble issues, 124 yards and a touchdown.
He's now their lead back,
I'd
say, for the rest of the year.
Pete Carroll has moulded this team again to fit what he's got, and they look really good. If it wasn't for the fact the Niners are undefeated, I would say the Seahawks are a lock to win the division.
Well, it's going to be a heck of a ding-dong match between the two of them, isn't it?
Who would you take today out of the two?
Niners.
Yeah, I'd probably just take the Niners.
As would I, just on the basis of what I see. But I think the Seahawks have a much better quarterback, and it may come down to that.
There's someone shaking his head right now.
Of course, yeah.
He's taking a rest on the table because he can't stop coughing. But
he's doing a you and the Patriots.
Yeah. I don't know what you're trying to say as we are still undefeated at the moment. I mean, look, I've been really impressed by what the Seahawks have managed to do. I didn't think they'd be quite this good this early in the season, and it's seriously testament to what Pete Carroll is able to achieve.
It's a young team, isn't it? That's what he enjoys doing. He enjoys working with young players.
But Tyler Lockett has become the lead receiver after the retirement of Doug Baldwin. Without you wouldn't realise. You think they'd just morph one into the other. It's not like there's been a massive drop-off in play. So,
well, Baldwin's retired. DK Metcalf is come in. He's hit the ground running.
Decent, literally running.
Yeah, literally running.
He said he can actually run more than just straight lines now as well.
I think
Gary said it.
Gary said it, but yeah.
Give him credit where credit's due.
I will say this. One of their best performers this season has been Will Dissly, the tight end, who suffered a season-ending knee injury last year in his left leg and is now out for the season with a knee injury in his right leg this year.
It's a loss, but
it's a big loss.
Yeah, I'd say receiver losses don't matter so much when you've got a superstar quarterback. You look at the dross that Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers throw to.
Agreed, but
I think the Seahawks have got better receivers than the Packers or the Patriots at the moment. They're Lockett and Metcalf are on form.
Even David Moore is playing very well. I really like Will Dissly. I thought he'd done really well to perform the way he has done. They've got Luke Wilson will now be the tight end, and he's a blocker. He's not a receiving tight end. So the game plan will have to change again, and we will see what Pete Carroll can get out of it.
Yeah, but you've still got Chris Carson, who's a good receiving back. I think there's just with Wilson, you've got a chance to win any match. I just think he's that good at the moment. He's probably in the form of his life.
So is that Luke or Russell?
Russell.
All right, cool.
So should we move on to the?
Let's just cover Arizona and Atlanta.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So, not a great deal to say here, other than it's hardly a surprise to see a team with no defence get beaten by a guy who's finally allowing what he's supposed to be good at to take over the games. And
neither of these teams have got defences.
No, they haven't. But the fact that Cliff Kingsbury is now allowing his supposedly offensive genius to come through a little bit. He was so conservative to start the season. And they just ran riot over the Falcons, frankly. And it's disappointing to see the fact. Dan
Quinn's gone, isn't
Dan
he?
Quinn's gone, and they are wasting Matt Ryan.
And Julio Jones.
So now, who are they going to get in? Who's it going to be?
I was talking to a Falcons fan on Sunday.
You found one?
I found there's one.
Go on.
Some of the messages I was getting.
This is good.
He is not impressed that they lost to the Cardinals in capital letters and lots of swearing.
Oh, really?
I've edited it quite well.
Dan Quinn is a cocky...
Yeah.
Something or other.
Hole. Thinking he can do everything.
Fair enough.
He can't, though.
No.
We should point out it came down to ever-reliable Matt Bryant missing a PAT to take this game to overtime.
Yeah, but when you saw him on the sidelines with his helmet off, he looked about 4,000 years old.
He is about
4,000 years old.
He looked it.
Is he the second oldest player in the league after Adam Vinatieri?
He's 44.
Yeah, so it's a tie between the two. I mean,
no, Vinatieri's like 46, isn't he?
Well,
yeah, hence second oldest.
Okay, so second oldest. Kyler Murray showed up 27 to 37, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. I mean, what more could you want out of a rookie? That's good stats.
If you can play a team with no defence every week, he'll look great.
But it's good to see that he can actually step up and take advantage of bad teams. Because if he'd have fallen flat against the Falcons, then the Cardinals are in trouble. So, but Matt Ryan, 30 of 36, 356 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. I mean...
Only gave up 2 sacks as well.
What else can he do? Nothing.
Yeah,
John said earlier, Devonta Freeman's turned up with 88 yards. But...
The offense isn't the issue here. I mean, I know they've had injuries to the defense, but still, Dan Quinn's meant to be. He was the one that originally devised the Seahawk defense in their, when they were going to Super Bowls.
Legion of Boom.
Sorry,
Legion of Boom.
That's the one. And when the Falcons went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, that defense was okay. They had probably a better offense than they had defense, but it was good enough to kind of stand up to most teams. It's gone off the bloody cliff. Like, it's terrible now. They can't stop anyone.
No, that's very true. Also, I did notice, I saw this come up on the graphic when I was watching the game. The punting for Atlanta, they are losing field position. Their average punt was 43 and a bit yards, and Andy Lee for the Cardinals was averaging 52 yards a punt. And so even on the field position battle, Atlanta are losing early out because they're not managing to get the ball far enough away from their own end zone. So
I think in Atlanta it needs to be wholesale changes. All the coaching staff has to go. Dimitroff has to make a big decision about who he brings in next and what style of team that he wants the Falcons to be.
Well, I don't understand the decision they made in the summer of getting rid of all coaches other than Quinn.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to someone else who's hit the skids. The Cowboys, rejoice, are also on the slide. They've lost now to Green Bay.
I stayed up late just to make sure the Cowboys had the bad juju to lose.
Yeah. So, yeah, they've now lost to Green Bay, the Saints, and followed that up with a loss to the dogshit Jets.
Okay, so
they're back.
We're bringing them back.
The dogshit Jets, who were a non-winning team coming into this game.
So fair enough losing to the Packers and the Saints.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're two teams you'd expect to be in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Losing to the Jets.
This was Sam Darnold's comeback game from mono, an illness that makes your liver and your pancreas swell up to phenomenal size.
He was wearing extra padding, wasn't he?
He was wearing a flak jacket.
Yeah.
This is a disease that teenagers get from snogging each other too much. When a guy's coming back from that and has barely practiced, you should not be losing to him. 23 of 32, 338 yards, 2 touchdowns, and what was an awful pick. But you've got to be doing better than that. I couldn't. It's just gone off a cliff in terms of Kellen Moore's play calling doesn't seem to be there. It's almost like Jason Garrett said, whoa, It's getting a bit too exciting.
They
Calm
lost.
down. We want to finish 8-8.
They lost Cobb before the game, and then they lost Cooper very early in the game.
Very early. Imagine if you had him in your fantasy team.
Yeah.
You'd already lost John
but
Gordon
still,
after
they
a
should
quarter.
have enough. They should have enough.
You would think.
But yeah,
105 yards from Elliott, 64 yards from Tavon Austin, who was their lead receiver.
I forgot he was there.
I
forgot he was there.
But I mean,
yeah,
he should never be your lead receiver. Really, it ought to be Gallup when the others are missing, and he only had 48 yards. Le'Veon Bell, 14 carries, 50 yards, but he did have a touchdown.
That's a good defensive line they've got there, and but Robbie Anderson torched the secondary there for a 92-yard touchdown, which is the longest touchdown by someone shit this season.
I was saying last week what a
Good
good
stat.
player Robbie
Yeah.
Anderson is. 92 yards.
He's not
Yeah, no,
good.
He's not a good player.
That's his
He's
one.
a
That's his
very-
one game now. He'll be gone for the next 5 games.
and
Yeah.
nobody
Yes,
had him
he
in
will,
their
yes.
fantasy team because they've been let down. So he's
we all
upset
know, yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, that's very true, and he does have hands of lead. But this was a brilliant play, and should not be taken away from him because
I tell
it's
you
the only one he has this season.
The Jets deserve some credit.
Go on.
So
What, for sticking with Adam Gase, even though he's an awful game manager?
Zeke Elliott got 150 yards from scrimmage, more than 150 yards. How many times have Dallas lost in 12 games before that where he's done that?
I'm going to guess none.
Yeah.
Do you think he still looks a bit slow though? I don't think he looks like the Zeke Elliott of old.
He's not.
I wouldn't trust him to service my boiler.
What? I don't know.
Nor would I.
I don't know what that, I mean, he's not a boiler maintenance he's not Corgi registered, says Gary from the back of the room.
But
How do you mean in terms of like he seems a yard off the pace?
Yeah, a little bit.
I got a nice wanky stat for you.
Go on,
Please.
Since 1991, NFL teams are 90-1 when they win time of possessions, total yards, turnovers, pick up 25 first downs, and convert at least 10 or more third down attempts. The one teams the Cowboys lost to the Jets. They dominated every single stat line apart from the score. Like that's got to be on play calling. If you're getting that many first downs, that many yards, you're winning the turnover battle, you're converting third down attempts, you've got to be winning that game.
So does Dak get Russell Wilson money?
He should have signed that contract.
He should have, shouldn't
5
he?
weeks ago.
Yeah,
Jerry Jones has saved himself a packet here because Dak's still going to be their long-term quarterback.
he's heading towards Teddy Bridgewater money here.
So I did think Brett Maher, the Cowboys kicker, who was only 4 for 7 on field goals coming into the game, did very well to nail a 50-yarder and then a 62-yard field goal at half-time. That's a long way to accurately kick a football.
Not in
62
Denver,
yards.
yeah.
Yeah, but this wasn't.
Yeah.
This is seriously impressive to kick, and it had legs on it. It could have gone another 5 yards. So
Well, I don't trust Jerry Jones's opinion because he's saying that
you know what the best thing was?
Jason Garrett would be sought after if he was available.
Yeah, I saw that news headline.
No.
Sought after for what though?
yeah, I don't know. He'd be a coordinator somewhere, but I'm not sure he should be.
It was Jerry Jones's birthday on Sunday as he watched
was, yeah,
as he watched
77th.
his team capitulate to the second worst team in the league. But yeah, well, let's move on because
Because you don't want
In-
to talk about the Jets and the Cowboys for too long.
no, but staying in the NFC East, the Eagles didn't take advantage of their poor form with the Cowboys as they were taught a lesson by the Vikings and Kirk Cousins looked like Dan Marino, didn't he?
Gary, do you not want to come back in for defending Kirk Cousins? He's slowly lolloping his way towards the table.
You should have seen the look on your face then.
I will get on this one early. I think we're going to see more players calling out underperforming quarterbacks because Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen 2 weeks ago called out Kirk Cousins and said we can't win games if no one throws us the ball. And all of a sudden he's making throws that we haven't seen since the days of you like that, and he looks quite good. So I just want to say it's been noted.
Well, maybe the offensive coordinator just wasn't telling him to throw the ball.
Maybe.
Maybe,
Seems likely.
maybe. Well, you know,
There was one game where he only had 10 attempts.
10 attempts.
They won that
Mike
one.
Zimmer
They
wants
won
to
that.
run the ball.
that's what I'm saying. So it might not have been Kirk Cousins. He might have been sat there with all this talent that we're now seeing, and he just wasn't allowed to express himself. So, and what I thought you were going to start with was an admission that you were wrong.
But Kirk Cousins is not going to come out and go, do you know what, guys? You're absolutely right. I'll start throwing it to you now.
Well, yeah, but I know that some quarterbacks have an amount of control over what happens, but a lot of it is called for them. So if they're constantly running the ball, with Dalvin Cook, then that probably isn't on the quarterback.
No, I don't think Kirk Cousins can do this over a sustained period, but 2 or 3 games he can be good, then it'll be 2 or 3 down games again.
Keeps the opposing defense honest, though, doesn't it? Because they're going into games where all they're expecting is Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison to run the ball. They know they basically don't have to play with any cornerbacks.
How clever are they being, by the way? Every time they get ahead, they take Cook out and just put Mattison on the field. They've been doing it for weeks. It's what all teams should be doing with their star running backs. It's the Cowboys have started doing a bit with Pollard and Elliott, and it's working for the Vikings right now. But this defense, the Vikings defense, is excellent. I mean, we've spoken about 49ers, Patriots. Who else? There was one other.
The Bears.
The Bears defense. This one's got to be 3rd, 4th, 5th, somewhere in that region in the league. They're brilliant right now.
Eagles are good as well.
Yeah.
Not on this
Although for the Eagles, Mills and Darby are back next week. So that will help their secondary, which has been
terrible.
Did you see that linebacker for the Eagles, Zach Brown, openly criticised Kirk Cousins before the game?
He's got sacked now.
Yeah, he said Cousins was the weak link and was cut today from the Eagles. After the game, someone asked him, "What about your comments?" And he said, "I won't be answering any questions about Kirk Cousins." And then he got fired. So he's been there for 8 years.
Nobody should doubt Kirk Cousins.
No, but he's not a rookie. He's been there for 8 years, and they just cut him.
It's that whole thing of he's provided the team talk for the Vikings. You just stick that up on the wall, go out and play, guys.
So the Vikings are still in contention, but are the Eagles, by virtue of the fact that
it's a horrible division.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad division. So
because I don't think they look like a team capable of winning a playoff game.
I don't think 2 teams are coming out of the division. And I think before the season started, we probably would have said the Eagles and Cowboys would come out of the division.
More or less everybody.
I think it now comes down to the strength for the NFC, in the NFC West, to an extent in the NFC South as well, with the Saints and the Panthers both looking good. And the North's looking brilliant now with Vikings, Packers, Bears and Lions. 2 teams aren't coming out of the NFC East.
No, it seems very unlikely. You know, the
Giants are a win away. The Giants are a win away.
Right
exactly. 2 teams aren't coming out of the NFC East.
They play the Cardinals this week.
Yeah.
They could be on par with the Cowboys.
I mean, you are screwing up your ability to have a high draft pick as well.
Yeah, but you've already got Saquon and Danny Dimes.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of time to suck left.
We need to.
You can only do it for so many years, Jim. Otherwise, you've done something wrong.
I mean, the thing that tells you how bad this division is that the Redskins are only 2 games back from the lead.
I think it's the Eagles to lose. Really, this division.
I'm not sure.
I think the Cowboys still win that division.
I think the Cowboys are better than the Eagles.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think.
Also, you do have to give credit to the Vikings D. So you've got Danielle Hunter.
Yep.
Danielle Hunter,
yeah.
Who has the most sacks by an NFL player under 25 years old?
What, of all time ever? How many? You haven't read
a
that
lot.
far, have you? Haven't read that far.
It doesn't actually tell me the stats.
Scroll.
He does have 6 sacks this season, though.
Already?
Yes.
That's fairly impressive. Yeah, I mean, they are for real. And now that Kirk Cousins is playing well, I don't think you can fault what the Vikings can do. They just need to keep this sustained level of quarterback play. Otherwise, there's going to be a problem. He's got 46 sacks in his career to date, by the way.
Wow.
It didn't take me long to find that while I was talking.
So whilst we're on the NFC East, the Giants lost to the Patriots.
There's no shame. No shame in that.
There is no shame.
No, there is no shame.
I don't know. You let Brady run in 2 touchdowns. There's some shame in that.
Hey, Brady,
one from a yard.
But Brady had got no receivers on the day. It wasn't happening. And there was a lot of criticism I saw in the feeds that I get saying Brady's got no arm, Brady's not throwing the ball. The point is this team finds ways to win when they've got no receivers on the field. Josh Gordon went off in the first quarter. The rest of them, it's not working. And Kill Harry's just about to come back. The 2 guys they're playing at tight end, Ryan Izzo and...
Who've signed a new tight end today.
Hang on,
Ben Watson's coming back.
Who the hell is Gunnar Olszewski.
He is the guy that replaced Josh Gordon in the lineup. He's basically a special teamer who they forced to play wide receiver.
He's the guy who messed up the return a few weeks ago.
Yeah, a few weeks ago.
He's still on the team.
He's not played very much since.
Just got the death stare.
Yeah, but the fact that people were criticising Brady, but if you just take the fact that they're still winning, yeah, they were. That people were saying he can't throw the ball. Now he's got no good receivers. He couldn't throw the ball. It was all coming up. They've got no running game. They're not going anywhere. But like you say, he ran in 2 touchdowns. And we said it was about this time last year. We said
he fell 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, but
he falls over.
This time last year, we were saying that Ben Roethlisberger's got like 2 quarterback sneak touchdowns in his career, and Brady gets like 8 a season.
Yeah, but you've got to remember, Brady is the second leading rusher for people over the age of 40 in the NFL.
It's very true.
And the third guy has -9. But for me, this is a game that offsets itself completely.
Right.
Because for the Giants, there's no shame in being beaten by the Patriots. And for the Patriots, they should be beating the Giants. We suck.
It's true. The only thing I will note about the Patriots on the downside is the kicking is going to be a problem. Mike Nugent, we went for it on 4th down in the middle of the game 3 or 4 times because they don't trust Mike Nugent. And they've ditched Young Hui Koo off of the I said that without his name in front of me, off of the practice squad. So they're obviously not happy with him. Now, I don't know what they're waiting for, but they should be trying out kickers every day because Mike Nugent looks dodgy as hell. And we know from seeing the Super Bowl last year and all the times that Gostkowski's dug us out of holes in the past, how important a good kicker can be. How many times do we sit here and say, this team would have won if it wasn't for their kicker? We were just saying the Falcons could have gone to overtime and won if it wasn't for Matt Bryant.
Then they wouldn't have lost 2 games.
The Patriots don't have a lot of weaknesses, but the special teams currently in the kicking position is one of them.
The kicking is really weak this season.
Yes, there are a
feel
lot
like
of
it.
that.
All over the league, yeah.
So who would you take today, Niners or Pats, if they met on a neutral field in the Super Bowl? Who are you taking?
Pats.
Yeah, even I'd take the Pats. I just think that Kyle Shanahan's not quite ready for that showdown because that's what happened to McVay last year. All right, I just wondered.
And Shanahan lost before.
So the second London game of the season took place week 6, and the Bucks, normally the home team, against the Panthers in a divisional matchup.
They weren't the home team.
Yeah, Jimmy G, you were there.
I was.
Can I have your game report, please?
It was thoroughly entertaining. The Bucks were definitely not the home team. There was a lot more favouritism in the crowd for the Panthers. Even right at the start, when the stadium was only half full, the Bucks were getting booed on and off the pitch. Now, it could have been the Bucks fans booing them on and off the pitch because their quarterback is terrible. But definitely, as a stadium, that new Tottenham Stadium is immense. Really enjoyable, good views from. I had a good walk around the kind of stadium and tried to get into different areas where the security had let me. And there was a good view from each and every angle I managed to sneak my way into. I will say one bad thing: they need to sort out their beer servings because it took half an hour to get a pint, and that's just too long. And the transport to and from the stadium is not good. So, if the NFL are serious about putting a franchise in London and using the Tottenham Stadium as the base, they'll need to sort out those transport links. But otherwise, a really good experience. I would say it's slightly better than Wembley because even with the transport stuff, the area around the stadium, at least there's places to go and eat and there's pubs around, so you're not just caught in that massive queue leading up to the tube station and then just shuffled in out of the stadium. They also kept the stadium open later afterwards, so you could hang around after the game and have a drink to let the queues die down. In Wembley, they can't wait to get rid of you.
Yeah. So should we discuss the game? Not much to discuss.
Yeah, Jameis Winston's terrible.
Jameis was awful.
Was his first pass of the game an interception?
Yeah, that's right. And he looked under pressure the whole game.
5 picks.
Yeah.
My favourite thing of the whole game was just watching Bruce Arians' face just drop more and more as he got greyer and greyer watching Jameis.
He's already come out this week and said they're not considering benching Jameis. Is Bruce Arians just too stubborn? Does he think
who's
I
the
can
backup?
fix this?
Who's
Ryan Griffin.
That's why.
That's why, yeah.
Yeah, but so this is where I was going with this. They could trade for anyone else. Marcus Mariota, who doesn't turn the ball over, just doesn't throw as many picks, doesn't throw as many touchdowns.
I think a lot of teams with these quarterbacks are going to wait and see what happens at the end of the season. There could be all sorts of quarterbacks on the market this year.
Yeah, they really could. Because I don't think either Winston or Mariota will get a new
Winston,
contract.
Mariota,
They're not getting franchise tags.
Teddy
You don't wanna pay them
Bridgewater.
that
Teddy
much.
Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks up for
What would you have to pay to get Matt Ryan out of Atlanta?
a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
And what would it
We
be?
just
what's it
talked
worth?
about how good he's been this
Yeah,
season.
so what would it be worth to a team like Tampa that's got a good defence now and has got Mike Evans? Like, what
Matt
do you give
Ryan
up?
won't move.
I don't know. You turn up at
Especially not within the
you
division
turn
as
up
well.
at Atlanta and say, "Here's 2 first-round picks. Give me Matt Ryan."
Here's a 35-year-old quarterback. Thanks.
Yeah, 2 first-round picks for a 35-year-old quarterback's just not going
Is
to
he
happen.
35?
Yeah.
He will be 35 at the end of the
So
season.
he's still going to play for another 5 years. He doesn't get injured.
But if they got Teddy Bridgewater,
Yeah, so that was the next place I was going. Do they go for Teddy because he's a lot safer than Jameis, and that's what they need.
Someone will try and get Teddy out of the Saints.
More than one, I think.
I mean,
We'll come on to Teddy, though, in the Saints game, because Teddy weren't that great this week.
But and
Let's be
after
fair.
Teddy, though, my next choice was going to be: do you
Blake
just trade,
Bortles?
do you just trade for Cam? Because Kyle Allen's keeping that job.
yeah, but Cam ain't going. It's the moment Cam is fully fit,
This team-
Kyle Allen's gone.
No, this team have moved on. Even if Kyle Allen loses a couple of games, I think it's going to take a lot
I
to get
don't
Cam back in.
believe that at all. Like the problem with Cam previously was that they were scared of him getting injured. Now they don't really have to be scared of him getting injured. They can literally say, right, if you want to run it, you run it, because we've got a decent backup who we know
What's
can win
the best
games.
thing about Cam every week?
His outfit.
It's definitely his
Thank you.
outfits.
The
That
pe-
is the right answer. And
the
what is
people of
worst
Gotham
thing
being
about
safe
Cam
for
every
I thought we
week?
were playing like QI. I was
Yeah,
waiting
I
for the
think so.
sirens
Yeah.
to go off.
John, what's the worst thing about Cam every week?
His interview.
His outfits.
That he doesn't run anymore.
That he doesn't win anymore. The thing that he was good at.
I mean, the best thing for me is the people of Gotham being safe for 4 hours while he's in the stadium.
I'm just saying, Panthers are ready to move on.
You don't. Kyle is worth nothing
Nothing.
in wages.
Yeah.
You can bring Cam back next season. If it works, great. You look like a genius. If it doesn't work, you bring in Kyle Allen. You look like a genius.
No,
It's win-win.
I'm just saying, if Tampa or a team in Tampa's position turn up and say, we want Cam Newton, you now open that discussion.
Well,
don't
it's a
you?
big ask for them to trade him within the same division as well.
Why? Would you be afraid of playing him? I wouldn't.
Yes. Because he knows your team inside and out.
He's on an 0-9 losing streak, and he's been bad, except, was it 26 in the MVP race? He's been bad.
He was the
He's
MVP.
he's never had consecutive winning seasons.
He was the
He
race.
was the MVP. But other than that year, he's never had an outstanding season. They've never won in back-to-back seasons with a winning
I mean,
record.
don't get me wrong, Jameis was terrible, but that's a great defense.
And it was a-
Carolina.
it's an amazing defense.
That was a very tough division. It has been a very
Yeah.
tough division
It has been a tough
to have consistently winning
Yeah, there was-
records against
Exactly. There
the
was one
Saints
stage.
that have gone to the.
I'm surprised
the
that there's this
championship.
much defence for Cam Newton. I think he's awful these days. I think he's shot as a quarterback. I'd rather have Philip Rivers.
This was the best defensive game by a defense in 1998.
So who's best defensive game? Sorry, so
Panthers.
The Panthers.
Right, go on.
7 sacks, 5 interceptions is the most sacks and interceptions in a game since 1998.
Who did it in 1998? Was it the Oakland Raiders?
It was the Dolphins against the Raiders.
Oh, okay.
There you go. James Winston's now has 5 games of at least 4 turnovers or over since entering the league in 2015. No one else has more than 2 over that span.
And the ones with 2 included Blake Bortles, just because I checked already.
Of course, but it's still better than
Blake
Jameis.
Bortles back.
better,
Oh, absolutely.
Was Philip Rivers in there?
He's definitely been Bortles bald. I'm sorry. I want
Balls out
that.
for
I want that hashtag trending, please, John.
I think
We'll get it. We'll get it going.
I failed to be entertained by Christian McCaffrey, even though he didn't gain massive yards on the ground.
He broke about 7 people's ankles.
Yeah, every time he gets the ball and jinx, all the defence falls the other way. It's really impressive. I think until Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones can do similar things for Tampa, they are going to struggle, though.
They didn't get many
Oh.
opportunities. They only had 14
No,
carries.
but
Ronald
Sneed-
Jones did a great touchdown,
Yeah.
and he put
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
on his arse when he went in as well.
But they need consistency from the running game, is what I'm
One
getting
of the
at.
steps he did was amazing.
They have also got the guy who nobody can pronounce the name of on commentary comfortably.
Ogunbowale, eh?
That's the
That's
one.
the one.
Thank you.
I was looking at it going,
That's how much time Troy Aikman took to eat, and that's a catch by. Ogumbawale.
I didn't know who we were talking about until I looked it up. So I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that one. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think Tampa are awful as a team. I just think they're being let down, and I think Bruce Arians needs to
That
try something else.
scoreline flatters them. Like
Yeah, definitely.
they scored 16 points in the fourth quarter. It should have been 37-10.
Like you said, though, this Carolina defence has really come to play now. Is Luke Kuechly still one of the top 3 linebackers in the league?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Top 3, top 2.
Okay.
Him and Bobby Wagner.
All right, fine. Eric Reed, I think he's having a really good season.
He's a
playing
great
really well.
player.
He is, yeah, always was.
Brian Burns, excellent.
Yeah, we
Great.
liked him in the draft, didn't we?
Great
Yep.
pick.
Gerald McCoy is having himself a season.
Dontari Poe,
Tari Poe.
still a great
And
DT.
Bruce Irvin. I mean, there's nothing to dislike about this Panthers team. And this is why I wouldn't be upset in the apple cut. I just think you leave it as it is until it runs its course.
So we've chatted about a lot of defenses throughout the season being really good. Are we starting to see a swing again? Because the last few years it's all about building dynamic offenses. Are we starting to see the NFL swing again to focus much more on the defense? Because New England, the 49ers, the Panthers, the Saints, the Bears, the Vikings,
Packers now.
I've got
Interesting to
amazing.
see how many total points have been scored so far up to the end of week 6 this year
Yeah.
versus last year. Because it doesn't seem quite as dynamic, and fantasy
That's a
hasn't
wanky
been
stat for next week.
hasn't been quite as easy this year as
it
last
hasn't.
year.
No, you're right.
Fantasy's been last week was the bloke who scored 270 points. I played him and I won by and I only scored 110.
We don't quite that league.
Well, no, but the guy scored 270 points for the same team. He scored 80.
You getting like 10 points for a touchdown or something?
Yeah, no, it's but it's ridiculous. But it's a really unpredictable year.
This is like a 4-man team.
No, it's a
4-man team.
4-man league. It's like,
no, it was just a freak week. But yeah,
Freak week. I like
That's
it.
a freak week.
Ray McLeod. Just a name I like. He's been kicked off the Panthers team after 3 fumbles in 2 games on the punt return unit. He used to be at the Bills, I think, and it was just a name that jumped out at me. Even though they fumbled three punts in 2 weeks, they're still winning games. It's an impressive ability.
I like Ray McLeod because of Madden. Because every name in Madden has to be regenerated in the franchise. So at one point you will end up with a couple of Rays just randomly in the league.
That's the reason why you like him.
Yes.
Moving on.
yeah, fair enough. You wouldn't like him for his catching ability, would you? But yeah,
You definitely wouldn't want him.
so the Saints 13, Jags 3. Teddy outplayed Meme.
Jack's 6.
What did I say?
you said 3.
Oh, 6.
Doesn't make
Teddy
that much
outplayed internet meme Minshew.
You really don't like this Minshew mania, do you?
I'm just bored of it
Already?
because
It's only been 5 weeks.
I agree.
and I would if he was great. He's not.
Is he playing above the level you expected
Yeah.
Nick Foles to play?
No.
no.
You
He's a
think,
different-
you think Nick
he's a-
Foles would be a better quarterback?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I can't say yes. I don't think they would have won any more games with Nick Foles.
Coming back to a point, that Saints defense is brilliant.
Oh yeah.
Well, that was just a defensive game, wasn't it?
It
Yeah,
was.
exactly.
It was all about defense. Jacksonville's defense was good as well.
Yep.
Very good. Just
We've already covered that we think people are going to trade for Teddy.
I don't know. I don't think he would move.
I hope he
He's not
doesn't.
been. But why would you? When he's on a winner now, because he comes in for Breeze and he's got an excuse if he loses. If he goes in and he's traded to a team and he starts, chances are he's not going to be very good because he's not been great, and he's not going to have Michael Thomas. He's not going to have Alvin Kamara. So
He's not going to have that offensive line.
he's not going to have that offensive line.
Richard
So
Dixon.
if he moves, he'll just be like Sam Bradford. He'll just be a Case Keenum, where he'll play for 6 games and he'll be dropped and he'll be out of the league. Might as well stay as a backup, stay in the league, get paid, and be on a winner.
Earns a decent wage.
Exactly.
I think he will take over from Drew Brees as and when Drew Brees
As and when,
retires.
yeah. But there's no point. Don't force it.
Yeah. I don't know.
forceful statement from John Farrell.
It is, yeah. He's pretty passionate about that.
Well, he wasn't very good at the weekend. He was good the week before.
His stat line isn't that bad. He didn't.
He's not bad. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I'm just saying, if you're thinking, well, this is the guy to lead our franchise.
I think last week we were probably saying
Jags
that.
defense did play well.
Yeah,
this game.
They're a good defense.
They need to be, because they've scored 6 points or less in 7 games between this year and last year, which is more than anyone else, or more times than anyone else. That's bad offense, regardless of who's at quarterback, whether it's Blake B or Gardner Minshew or Nick Foles. They're not getting it done on offense. So the defense.
It's all right. They're playing the Bengals next week, and then the Jets.
Yeah, but would you? You think they're going to win both of those games?
No,
one of them at least.
They might not beat the Jets.
Let's see which Jets team shows up next week.
Yeah,
it's the Patriots.
Yeah.
Should we? Anyone got anything to add on the Jags?
No, move on.
Yay! So Monday Night Football saw Green Bay and some referees take on Detroit, with the Packers squeaking a win thanks to some Rodgers magic and some calls. What chance the Packers make the Super Bowl as the NFC shakes its best teams to the top? And how did Detroit find a way to finish teams off?
So Detroit should have won at least 2 more games this season. They should have beaten the Cardinals in week 1 when they were 13 points up and threw it away. Last week they were 3 points up or 2 points up with 30 seconds to go and lost. And this week they had the game in their hands and the referees snatched it away from them with 2 face mask calling penalties in the final 2 drives, or the final drive, and neither of them.
It was 2 different drives, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Was it drive, finish that, and then drive?
It was drive, touchdown, drive.
The Packers were 3rd and 10 when I think it was Clowney brushed Rodgers' shoulder, and then they were given a hand to the face. Was it Flowers? Was it?
It was Flowers both times.
Yeah,
both times. On David Bakhtiari. I watched it this morning on the replay, and the calls did look really bad, especially that. I mean, Flowers had Bakhtiari around the shoulder, top of the shoulder pads.
Top of the shoulder, yep.
I'll say this one: the refs are watching it in real time. It's happening very fast. They don't always have the best of angles, and Bakhtiari's head does flip back quite violently.
But he's selling that, right?
That's what I want. If he is,
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
You got to give him a bit of credit there for kind of playing up to that a little bit and getting a penalty. I mean, I wonder how long it is before there's like the American League had there's a sky ref who's kind of watching that type of thing to kind of make sure the call's right, or B, every call is challengeable. Because if Patricia throws a red flag at that and he goes up to a video replay, the video replay goes, that's not.
Well, see, they're not overturning the pass interference because they're saying that's subjective. So we've seen 2 overturned this season, 3 overturned out of all of them. But this isn't subjective.
That wasn't subjective.
Your hand's either in the guy's face or it's not.
Exactly.
So you're better off being able to challenge this than some of the pass interference stuff. The owners' meetings are today, and I think this is going to get mentioned because these 2 refereeing calls, which were identical and basically handed Green Bay the opportunity to win, this is not just affecting Green Bay, this is ruining Detroit's chances at the playoffs. It's also giving the Green Bay Packers an advantage over the Bears and the Vikings in a division that's probably going to come down to 1 game.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, the other thing is that the Lions didn't score enough touchdowns. There was a lot of field goals in this game. I think there were 5 field goals.
Yeah, they went to the red zone 3 times and only got 1 touchdown.
Yeah, so, yes, the calls did have a massive... that massively affected the outcome of the game, but the Lions didn't help themselves either. They should have scored 2 more touchdowns than maybe they did.
I think the problem with these decisions is when they come so late in the game.
Yeah,
there's no time to come back.
If that had been in the first quarter, we wouldn't be mentioning it.
No, exactly. But it's if it happens, when it really matters, people get a bit bitter. But Dunk did fail to mention it as well.
Who is Alan Lazard?
He's a wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers.
Is this further proof that people like Rodgers and Brady just throw to anyone?
Apparently, Aaron Rodgers was in his corner and was asking him to get on the field a lot more. And apparently,
why?
Well, obviously, he's doing some things in practice. And Rodgers, I've never heard of him either. I've got no idea who he is. But Rodgers seems to like him, and he made a couple of outstanding catches.
Yeah, he really did. I just wondered why we'd not seen more of him before. But
you saw last season with, what was it?
Marcus Valdes-Scantling and Equiminius St. Brown.
Yeah, I mean, God, look at looking at the Green Bay receivers. Alan Lazard, Mercedes Lewis, Marcus Valdes-Scantling, Geronimo Allison, Jamal Williams, Jimmy Graham, Jake Kummerow, and Darius Shepard.
Did he?
That.
It's like you've got to have a good name to get drafted by the Packers.
I mean, that is apart from Jimmy Graham, that's a woeful, and even he's out of sorts these days. That's a woeful list of receivers. Like they wouldn't get on many other teams.
Devontae Adams this week.
No.
I can't fail to be impressed by what the Packers are pulling off, because they are, despite the fact the offense has taken time to get rolling, the defense has kept them in the games all the way through, and despite the fact it was referee assisted, you can't fault the fact that Rodgers. I mean, how many times do you guys sit there when we're watching Patriots games in Super Bowls and go, the refs have handed you another call, the refs have handed you another call, Brady's thrown it up and you've got pass interference? That's basically what Rodgers was relying on. My O-line will sell the hands to the face, or I will sell the hands to the face. We will get this call. How many times does Rodgers do this in a season where he spots the flag coming and he just throws the ball up and we get some miraculous touchdown?
He is really good at that.
So, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I think teams do get that refereeing advantage, but I think that they can manipulate it, and I think Bakhtiari was manipulating the referees because he's got nothing to lose there. You can't get done for faking a hand to the face call.
Fair enough. No, well, should we move on to the... we'll round out the rest of the results.
I just want to mention Mason Crosby, though, winning the game and doing the Lambeau Leap. This time last year, this was the game last year where he missed 4 field goals. And we all said, they're going to cut him. And they didn't. And I just wonder, we were saying earlier, the kicking woes in the league. Do you think kickers need to be given time to come back? Because their confidence is as important as anyone else's. And if a kicker has 2 or 3 bad games, you have to put your arm around them and say, it's okay, because you will make the winner later on in the season.
Well, I think Mason Crosby's like Vinatieri in the fact that he's done it before. Like, they've had trust in him before, and he's just going through, at that point, he's going through a bad
Do you remember it,
form.
It was awful.
Oh, it's terrible.
It looked like any one of us walking out there.
But then Vinatieri has been the same this year, in the first couple of games this year, and he seems to have got back on track again.
Yeah, just shrugged it off and went back to it.
I just remember it for Scott Hansen's stoink.
Yeah.
Why were you? Oh, no, too right.
Well, okay, well, let's move now on to the rest of the results. So, 3 winless teams remaining.
Sorry, we have to cover these.
Yeah, well, we're going to be very quick. The Bengals lost 17-23 against the Ravens. The Dolphins almost won the toilet bowl.
Toilet bowl.
He refused to read out the phrase "winning the battle at the bottom."
I prefer the toilet bowl.
It's pretty accurate.
17-16, they lost to the Redskins.
It's almost like they didn't want to win that game.
Yeah, come on. They did that on purpose, right? They threw the 2-point conversion so badly that they lost the game, right?
I don't know, because if you told me Kenyon Drake's crap, I'd be like, yeah, he is. So makes perfect sense.
The whole game was bizarre. They were playing really badly. They took Josh Rosen out because he was playing so badly. They put Fitzpatrick in, who was really, really good. And then they threw the game at the end. It's like they wanted to be competitive and then realised that they're tanking and they didn't want to win right at the end. It was just, if you wanted to get your season rolling, you don't risk the 2-point conversion. You go for overtime. You just kick the PAT and go for overtime.
A lot of coaches are going for the 2-point.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of them. Yeah,
and last
they're
year.
0-4 on that call this season to win the game. It's not working.
No, a lot of teams have done it since last year. I think there's a
couple of teams got away with it.
Last year it worked for a couple, and they got loads of good press about winning mentality.
Was it the Titans, the game we went to?
Yeah, Titans Chargers, was it?
Yeah, they blew it, didn't they?
But quite a few. We want to win the game, and we believe in ourselves, and we don't want to play for a draw and all this stuff, and they end up losing. Brilliant.
Yeah, I get it, but I just cannot understand because they've already said we're sticking with Rosen. So from this week, he will still be the quarterback. Why take him out? You need to see everything. You need to see him under duress. You guys already said they're picking a quarterback.
Yep.
So this was a waste then. Why bother getting him in the first place?
I'm not so sure they do.
I'm not sure they are.
No. Well, but if they're not, they need to leave Rosen in there to see how he deals with these situations. You can't just hoik him out. Let Fitzpatrick march you back into the game.
There's no point in just totally undermining him either. Sometimes it's for his own benefit to bring him out. If he's being crushed and he's playing rubbish, take him out.
Yeah.
It's fine. It didn't work this week.
Yeah.
Let's come back.
Have you
Let's
seen
come back
Josh
on
Rosen
Sunday.
play well under duress for either the Cardinals or the Dolphins?
Have you seen Josh Rosen play not under duress
Yeah.
without a revolving door O-line?
Have you seen him produce any form of results or even good yardage in games when he's getting annihilated? Have you seen that at all?
Have you
In a
seen,
year and a half.
Have you seen anyone?
But look,
Any quarterback.
any quarterback.
But you haven't seen. What I'm saying is, he
2
looks
weeks
like
ago,
the same-
Brady looked like a 50-year-old man against the Redskins. Let's.
I'm just saying he hasn't made any progress from week 1 last year.
Yeah, but
He looks
he's-
like, week 3 when he
But
first.
to be
appeared
honest,
last year.
the plays they do are the ball. There's a snap. The O-line falls over,
Yeah.
and he panics.
And he looks up and he thinks, who have I got to throw to? Devontae Parker's covered. No one else. Oh, okay, well,
So let me look
I'll
through
hand it over to Kenyon. Oh shit, Kenyon Drake's rubbish.
yeah.
I'll just get hit.
Let me-
I like the way you're moving around whilst you make that.
I absolutely agree with you. I'm just saying, if you want to know what you've got, you have to let him play through all these situations, and nobody does. They're just dragging him out, or they're not putting him in there in the first place. If you wanted to see him, he should have been playing from the start of game 1, and he should be playing all season.
Can't believe we're still talking about this.
Yeah, should we? Yeah,
it's important stuff.
He's
Because
shit.
they're going to be picking number
He's
1.
shit, and they're going to be picking a new quarterback.
Well, are they going to be picking number
Yes.
1? Because in 69 days, you get the toilet bowl Mark
Part
2.
Yes, you do.
You have the Bengals and the Dolphins
And the
for the
Bengals-
number 1 pick.
The Bengals will be 0 whatever at that point, because that is another pony team. The Bengals are bad. How on earth did they think they were going to be any good this season? They are devoid of talent. Joe Mixon looks
We said
like
that
just
right
a
at the
guy.
start of the season. I remember sitting literally where you
Yeah,
are
you
now
did.
doing the reviews saying, apart from Joe Mixon and AJ Green, there is no talent on this roster whatsoever.
So why did they not let Zach Taylor get some better players in the draft?
Well-
Why did they not pick a better quarterback?
Yeah, okay, they need to pick a better quarterback, but now why don't they just trade all the good players they got there? They can get some. They haven't got many draft picks next year. They could get some draft picks for AJ Green, Geno Atkins, Carlos Dunlap, not high ones, but at least extra ammunition so they can use to trade up in different areas of
if
draft.
you ring Belichick and go, hey, I've got an old receiver.
Yeah,
Want to give me a
That
first
has
round
been
pick?
suggested, hasn't it,
Yeah,
already?
exactly.
Yeah.
There's a joke there somewhere. I'm leaving that.
they'll get at least a third round pick for AJ
Yeah.
Green. At least we'll have him at the Niners.
John, do you want to tell me anything positive about the Redskins, because they didn't get mentioned in the Dolphins beatdown we did?
They won.
they won.
They won by running the ball, which is exactly what they said
Yeah,
they were going to
Peterson.
do. Is that their one win of the season?
No,
No,
they'll
they'll
win
probably
again.
get another. They got to play the Giants again, so you know.
Yeah,
I think that could be it.
the Cowboys just lost to the Jets. If Tyrion Smith is injured and the
Tyron Smith.
Tyron Smith,
Not Tyrion Smith.
sorry,
Tyrion
Tyron-
Lannister.
I assume he's the smaller version.
yeah. But if Tyron Smith is
Don't
injured,
fancy his chance to protect him
He,
on blindside.
he never gets penalised for hands to the face.
but no, if Tyron Smith is injured, still because
Yeah.
then who knows with the Cowboys, because they can't make any plays, it seems, without him.
And Cowboys are destined to finish 8-8 this year.
Yeah,
How many rushing yards did Lamar get this year?
152.
152. What is the record? 174?
Something like that, yeah. Michael Vick, is it?
Yeah, so how long before he beats that? It's going to be this season.
Oh, he'll do it. Yeah.
yeah,
I think so.
it'd be great.
He did not play well in the second half, but basically the game was wrapped up. The Bengals scored on a kickoff. Was it the kickoff return they scored?
Yeah,
And then a garbage time touchdown, and that was it. This is what the Ravens are going to be. They're going to be excellent against bad teams and average against everybody else, and it will probably be enough to win the division just because of what's happening elsewhere in that.
Okay, well, let's move on from that dross to some fantasy time.
Dross.
No. So, Gilo, our fantasy genius. Any hints and tips for us this week?
Well, I think it's like I said, I touched on it earlier. I think it's been quite a difficult year for fantasy this year, and there's not a lot on the waivers out there at the moment. I think if you're looking to try and add some value at kind of wide receiver and running back, it's just a really difficult market. And quarterbacks even turned into quite a difficult market this year as well. But some players I'd look at, potentially looking at on the waiver wire this week is Josh Allen at the Bills. They're having a much better season than most people thought. He's probably available in quite a lot of leagues, and if you're you're starting to stash a quarterback ready for a bye week, then he's certainly worth picking up. Adrian Peterson.
Jeez, are you just looking at my team?
You have picked up some of these players. Adrian Peterson at running back. The Skins are only going to just keep running the ball.
Don't play him next week, though.
No, not next week against the Patriots. But again, at the moment, some of these waiver targets aren't just necessarily for next week. They're for the rest of the season because we're almost halfway through the fantasy season now, and you're going to need to start stashing some players on the bench. And then Hunter Henry at tight end, who obviously came back, looked good. Philip Rivers has got to try and throw the ball to someone. Can't only throw it to Keenan Allen. Someone needs to tell him that. But always worth pick up, and tight end's always a difficult position to fill. Players to drop, obviously. So obviously, Will Disley is done for the season. So just get rid of him straight away. Josh Gordon, I don't know what his injury situation is, but he hasn't really ever come to life with Brady. They don't seem to get on, do they? They don't seem to have a connection.
It's not happening.
So Gordon, I'd be looking to move on from, and Chris Thompson as well. I'd be looking to get away from pretty quickly. So, like I say, there's not a lot out there. It's quite difficult. If nobody's picked up Tevin Coleman in your league yet, I would also go for Tevin Coleman. I had him on my bench in our league last week, but he still scored nearly 15 points. So, I think you're gonna have to do some shopping around. If you are going to make any trades, then it's probably the time to do it, because I think people will start to lock down their teams towards the kind of middle of the season soon. So, time to make your moves now would be my suggestions.
The Panthers, Browns, Steelers and Bucks are all on the bye this week as well.
Yeah, that's true. So there's 4 teams this week, 2 teams next week, and then we head into some of the heavier weeks in weeks 9 and 10. 10's always a big week for buys.
Griff, you're next.
So, finally, before we go, I asked everybody 6 teams that are definitely, absolutely 100% out of the playoff picture. It's fairly easy. And 6 locks that you think are nailed on for being in the postseason. So, let's go around the table and see what everybody says. We will start with your 6 teams that you are absolutely positive are eliminated. John, I will start with you. 6 teams from you, please, that you are absolutely bailing out of.
Jets, Dolphins, Bengals, Falcons, Giants, Redskins.
Gilo?
Dolphins, Bengals, Skins, Jets, Falcons, Bucks.
Jimmy G?
Dolphins, Bengals, Redskins, Giants, Jets, Bucks.
And Paul?
I will be going for the Dolphins, the Redskins, the Bucks, the Falcons, the Bengals, and the Cardinals.
Yeah, so more or less everybody's in agreement, I think.
I think you could probably name 8.
Yeah,
Cardinals are a fair show. You're not getting 4 teams.
I left the Falcons off mine as well.
Yeah, so I had the Dolphins, the Bengals, the Cardinals, the Redskins, the Falcons, and I think I had somebody else that I wasn't expecting. So I wanted to put the Jets in, but I just think that they've got a chance.
No, they haven't.
Yeah, but they're like number 7 out of the teams. I can't think who the other one was that I wanted in. There was somebody else that I thought was absolutely dreadful. Oh, the Chargers. I think the season's done.
I almost put the Chargers in there as well.
So I actually think the Chargers might end up worse off than the Jets, because at least the Jets have got some talent coming back in. 6 teams that are definitely going to make the playoffs. Everybody's going to pick the Niners and the Patriots, I assume. No, there's a lot of head shaking over there.
Mr. Negativity over
there. See, I think if I've got to pick the Patriots, you've got to pick the Niners.
I'm picking the Niners.
No, because the Niners are in a good division.
Right,
Jim, and the Niners won 4 games last year.
That's true.
They've won more than that now.
I get that, but
Jim?
49ers, Patriots, Saints, Chiefs, Packers, Texans.
John?
49ers, Packers, Saints, Pats, Chiefs, Texans.
Paul?
I forgot about the Saints. So I've got the Pats, the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Texans, the Packers and the Chiefs.
Gary?
The Patriots, the Packers, the Chiefs, the Saints, the Seahawks and the Texans.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I've got the Niners, the Seahawks, the Saints and the Packers. And then in the AFC, I'm not sure. The Patriots, definitely. And I'm going with the Chiefs because I think it's the obvious one. And number 7 would be the Texans. I think they will end up walking away.
I almost
with
put
that
the
division.
Panthers in there as well, because I think that defense can see them get the other wild
The
card
defense
spot.
good. I just think I think they might bring Cam back, and that'll blow the season back open for them. So I couldn't put them in there. It's hard when you've got to narrow it down to 6 because there's 8 sitting there looking at you at least in each one. So that's why I only let you pick 6. I just thought it was an interesting exercise. I think I would be extremely surprised if we're not right on all of those postseason locks.
Okay, well, thank you for listening to the Snap UK podcast. Go find us on social media. We're on Twitter at the Snap UK. We are on the Facebook at the Snap UK podcast, and we are on Instagram at the Snap UK. Help us shape the show, leave us a review, and interact with us. Also, look out for us at the next London games. Me, Griff, and Gilo are down at the Wembley games. So, if you run into us, do say hello. But from all of us,
you might bounce.
but from all of us here, good night.